Of course, here's the full translated version of the Pharaoh's Shadow in English, preserving the dramatic tone and depth of the original. The Pharaoh's Shadow in the Heart of Thebes. Beneath an unforgiving sun and towering columns whispering secrets in a language few still understood. A story began, one that was never written, or if it was, its pages were torn away, its carvings erased, and its memory buried beneath the sands of time. His name was Hathor. The son of a farmer from a small village near Aswan, he grew up carrying water and gathering firewood, and never dreamed of more than joining the army. Thanks to his strength and sharp mind, despite his quiet nature, he was accepted into the guard of the temple of Ammon, and caught the eye of the high priest of Thebes. One heavy autumn evening, while Hathor was cleaning a worn-out spear at the temple gate, the high priest and Sernab approached him. A man in his 50s with a pointed beard and eyes that rarely blinked. He ordered Hathor to follow. Hathor did not ask why. He had learned that questions only burden the soul in the realm of the gods. They led him into an inner chamber lit by oil lamps, heavy with incense and silence. On a stone table lay a small ebony box, inlaid with strange carvings, and like any hieroglyphics he had seen before, older, deeper. The priest spoke in a low voice, as if the very walls were listening. What you are about to see should never be seen, but we no longer have the luxury of secrecy. Inside this box lies something called the Pharaoh's Shadow, a small statue, carved from red gold, found in a tomb that exists in no scroll. We do not know who it was made for, but we know what it does. He opened the box carefully, as though it held a serpent or a trapped soul. Inside, Hathor saw the statue. It was the face of a pharaoh, but the features were deliberately unclear, as if the sculptor had hidden the truth. The eyes were crimson gemstones that glowed faintly, like burning coals. Whoever holds this shadow hears what isn't spoken, sees what cannot be seen, and it has started to move. Hathor asked, his voice rough and simple. Move? You mean walk? No. I mean it stirs souls. His mission was clear. He escort the statue with a small escort down the Nile to Abu Simbel, to be buried in a sacred chamber where no sunlight could reach. The journey was difficult from the start. Hathor was joined by 5 men, among them a scribe named Nebi, and an older soldier called Keb, whose face was like stone. They traveled at night in a small boat, going against the current, always watching the shore. By the 4th day, Hathor began to feel the statue was watching him. He couldn't sleep. He heard whispers in the dark, faint voices with no source. Sometimes, in the morning, the statue was in a slightly different position, as if it had shifted. Nebi started shaking, whispering that the statue was telling him forgotten names. On the 6th night, he jumped into the Nile without a word. They never found him. Keb grew sick, speaking in a strange, ancient tongue. Symbols began to appear on his skin, markings that looked like those on the statue. He died in agony on the 8th day. Now alone with only 2 men left, Hathor began hearing a voice in his head. All who touch the shadow grow a second shadow. That night, in a dream, he found himself in a temple buried under sand. A towering pharaoh stood before him, wearing the twin-horned crown of power.